The final step in creating our reporting tool is to construct the actual report that will format our query results for the printed page. Before we get started on the report though, let's go ahead and make sure that our query is working with valid data. I'm going to open up the form called Sales by Division. And here I'm just going to pick a division of Mid-Atlantic and a year of 2011. And I'm going to compare those to the states in the Pacific Division in the same year of 2011. Now that those values are entered, let's go ahead and run the query. I'll double click on the query to run it, and I should see Mid-Atlantic in 2011 and Pacific in 2011. Now that I know my query is running and has valid data entered, we can go ahead and create the report. Let's go to the Create tab, and I'm going to choose to create a report using the wizard. So I'll choose Report Wizard over here. That's going to ask me what is going to be my data source. And we just built this query for the data source. So I'll make sure that in this Tables and Queries section, I've chosen the query Sales by Division. Next, it's going to ask me which fields I want to use. Well, we specifically created this query to provide data for the report. So I want to use all the available fields and move them to selected fields. I'll press on this double arrow button here. That'll move everything over. Let's go ahead and say Next. The next screen is going to ask if I want to apply any grouping levels to my report. We're going to group first by division name. So all of the regions that are in the same division will get grouped together. Then I'm going to group by year. I'll select the year and move that over. So on my report, I'll have all of my records grouped by division. And then within the division, I'll see all the records that are in the same year. Underneath that, I'll see the state name and the sum of suggested retail price. Go ahead and say Next. On this screen, we can sort our values. I'll sort them ascending based off of the state name. Then I'm going to go down here and choose Summary Options. This will give me the ability to give some statistical information about each division. Here I'm going to choose Sum and Average to get the total price for each division and the average price across the states in each division. Let's go ahead and say OK, and then we'll choose Next. This is going to ask us how we want our report to lay out. I'm just going to leave the default options here and choose Next. Finally, what title do we want for our report? Sales by Division is a good start. And we can choose to preview the report to see what it looks like. Let's go ahead and press Finish. Now our report loads up on the screen, but we can see that we have a little bit more work to do before we have something that's actually usable. For instance, we can see that we have column names here, division name, year, state name, and suggested retail price. I want to make sure that those are a little bit more legible, so I want to introduce spaces between these words. Also, we have some alignment issues. For instance, I have the year column here, but the years are actually appearing way over here. I also can see that some of my text boxes aren't big enough. For instance, right over here, I can't see the full price for the state of New York. I also have boxes around everything that I'd like to get rid of, and some alternating row color that I'd like to standardize. So let's go ahead and make some of these changes. I'll go ahead and close the print preview view, and we'll just start at the top and work our way down. First, we'll start with this title. I'm going to double click on it and select the text here and change it to Sales by Division Comparison. I'm going to change its font by going to the Format tab and change it to a bold font, and I'll make it white here. Then I'll change my background color of my report. I'll click on this report header section that's currently gray, and in the Format tab, I'm going to go to back color. I'll highlight this where it says text 2 lighter 80%, and I'll delete that out. And I'm going to type in a custom color code so that we're consistent throughout our database. I'm going to type in the £, and then 00728B. This is the color for that turquoise color that we're using for the Kinetico database. Next, I want to clean up this page header. I'm actually going to delete all these values in here. So I'll select each of these and press Delete. And then we'll take my page header and collapse it by dragging up from here. Then I'll expand my division name section a little bit. So I'll drag this down, and I'll make my division name slightly bigger. I'll select it and change the font to 14. Let's go ahead and make the text box a little bit bigger and move it down. In the year header section, I'm going to take my year box and drag it and drop it over here to the right a little bit. I'm going to expand the section down a little, and I'm going to add in 2 text labels that will act as headers for the columns below. In the Design tab, I'll choose the label here and click to add one down below. I'm going to type in the word state and a colon. Then I'm going to add one more label. I'll come up here and choose the label control and click down here again, and we'll call this total sales. Let's go ahead and move it into position. I'll just use my arrow keys for that, and I'll put it to about there. Let's go down a little bit further, and I'll take my state name box, and I'll drag it over so it's below the state column header there. And I'll take the sum of suggested retail price. I'm going to expand it so it's a little bit wider, and move that over as well. And I'll move it right below this total sales header there. In the year footer section, I'm going to go ahead and select all of these boxes here and delete them. And then I'm going to collapse the year footer section so it doesn't have any height. I'll drag that up to there. In the division name footer, the next section down, I'm going to delete this big box here that calculates the summary name. I'll delete that, and then I'm going to move these boxes over. I'll click on each of these and then drag them over to about there. I'll take the labels that are way over here, and I'll move those a little bit closer. Put them there, and I'll drag this one over here and put it there. And I'll go ahead and rename these. I'm going to double click on each one, highlight the text, and this first one is going to be called Division Sales, and the one below is going to be called Division Average. Let's adjust their position a little bit, and I'll move this one over. And I'll make these text boxes a little bit bigger. Okay, so I've made a bunch of changes. Let's go ahead and take a look at it in print preview mode to see if we're getting closer. I'll switch my view to print preview and take a look. I can see that I need to increase the size of the title a little bit. I'm truncating my N. I also have those alternating row colors that I want to get rid of. And I have the boxes around these sales figures here. I can also see that I want to convert these values into a currency format so that they display properly. Finally, I've got this total sales column header that I want to make sure is right aligned so it aligns with the text here. Go ahead and change these values. I'll close the print preview again. First, I'm going to go ahead and select everything. So I'll press Control A on the keyboard. And I'm going to go up to the Format tab, go to Shape Outline, and change to Transparent. That'll make sure it gets rid of all of the boxes around all of my objects. Then maybe I'll change the title up here at the top, make that wider. Let me go through each of these sections and make sure that there's no alternating colors. So I'll click on this division name header section back here, and I'll go to find the alternate back color, and I'll change that to no color. And I'll just do that for each of these other sections. So year header, change that to no color. The detail section, change that to no. The division name footer, I'll change that to no color. And let's check out this bottom one, doesn't have an alternating color. So that's looking good. These two boxes needed to be currency format. So I'll click both on those. I'll go to the format and change it to currency. I also wanted total sales to align with the figures in this box here. So I'm going to make it just as wide as the other one. And I'll go over here and make it right aligned text. Okay, let's see if there's any other changes I need to make. Let's take a look at it in print preview. And I can see that I have the Mid-Atlantic states in 2011. I can see the various states that correspond to the Mid-Atlantic states and the values of their sales in 2011. Then I can see the total and average state sales for the Mid-Atlantic states in 2011, and I'm comparing those to the Pacific states also in 2011. So I think that's a good start on our report. For additional details on setting up reports, take a look at my course, Access Forms and Reports in Depth, here in the lynda.com library.